Hi, and welcome back to this order flow course. Order flow tools 103. We're going to get to know the DeepPrint, also known as order flow candles, deep candles, footprint, candles on steroids, or however you want to call it. So we're going to take a normal chart, okay? Or we can simply go on deep charts, in the main bar and click new price chart, right? You're going to select your E-mini S&P, and voila, you have the chart, the same one that I have here now. I'm going to close this. And one of the options you have to do it very quickly and swiftly is to, for example, activate order flow bid ask right from here. And it's going to build a chart for you. And if you zoom in, you're going to be able to see the bid ask footprint. Now let's go down, drop into some minor time frames. And let's go to the 1 minute time frame. This is one of the time frame I prefer to read the footprint chart. And this is one type of visualization, okay? It could be improved, I would say, right? So let's make it better. We can go, this is just the basic version, right? But you can go inside here and all of the settings pops up. So this is an ask bid footprint chart, right? So it's just showing you orders that hit the bid on this side and lifted the ask on this other side. So aggressive selling and aggressive buying. You could also have it a volume, right? Just the total volume here. Or you can have just the delta, okay? So the difference between total volume, ask bid, and delta is the total volume is simply doing this number plus this number. Delta is doing this number minus this number. That's it. Super easy. So 81 plus 110, let's put volume. Let's first make the text slightly bigger, because now with the font size, it's practically invisible for you guys probably. So let me put that really big. There you go. Is 191, the total volume. 81 plus 110. 110 minus 81. So I put delta, it's 29, right? And you can have it as a box. Now it's written box because we don't see the background of it. But you can go on plot settings, background, and for example, color mode, fixed. And now you can see a little bit of the background. Or fading color, which is what typically I use, or multiple colors. And the color calculation, how do you want it to be colored? Based on volume, or based on delta, or dominant volume, or volume dominant delta. To be honest, I always keep it at delta to keep it simple. And the background is this one. So for example, I might want to put it a little bit more lighter. Yeah. And for example, I want to put my text with a main color being are we on the text settings? Yeah, text settings coloration. I'm gonna put it black. Yes, I prefer it, for example, like this. But to be honest, I have my template for this. My 1 minute entry template. That is going to load now, but it's going to load a little bit more because I typically have 60 days of chart to load. So let's give it a little bit of time to load. And there you have it. I'm going to take off all the rest of the stuff that we're going to see later in the course. And there you go. Look how beautiful and clean this is. My God. I make it even cleaner by putting the chart area black, just how I like it. And there you go. Nice. So let's have this one here. And in the properties, let's make indicators, order flow analyzer, or DeepPrint. Let's make in the plot setting the text slightly bigger. And let's get to know our footprint chart. So a quick reminder of how this works. Let's have this on the side and this here. And with our replay, we're going to play. And we're going to see this thing developed side by side with our depth of market in real time. There you go. Now you can see both of them moving at the same time. And this is basically summarizing the end result of what happens here. So we have passive buyers, passive sellers, the volume profile, and this simply tells us, okay, this is the summary of all aggressive buying, the summary of all aggressive selling. So you can also guess here what happened in the book. Because if you see, for example, just like we saw slightly before, this happening in the book, we saw a big $900 order, sorry, a big 900 contracts order. Well, that's where it is. We don't see it. We don't see it before, right? Here we can see it before it gets filled. Here we see it only once it gets filled, which is ultimately what matters, right? Some might argue what actually matters is executed orders, not fake orders that have been spoofed here. So maybe they put it, they take it off, they put it again, they take it off. It's unreliable information. So I'm just going to stick with what matters and just have the orders that were actually executed. That's a stance I can understand. Okay? So this is what the footprint chart does, or the DeepPrint does. It shows us the summary of the auction that created the candle. This is the best way to analyze market movements. And it gives us some very important data. So let's kind of diversify all of these colors, what they mean, etc. The background color is green, here it's purple, and the darker it gets, the higher the delta. So you're going to compare the number of this with the number of this, and if this one is increasingly more than this one is going to get greener. Same thing here, 68, 2007, well, this one is going to get colored purple, okay? So the delta, as we discussed, is this minus this, or this minus this. So the color is based on delta. The color of the text instead is based on something called auction imbalance. And by auction imbalance, what we mean is the imbalance between what was traded and bought from the ask. So what was bought from the ask and what was sold in the bid in that auction, because you always have the best bid and the best ask at one tick difference, right? Here, let me pause this for a second. So you always have best bid at 50, best ask at 50, best bid at 25. So this is the best ask. Now this is the best bid, this is the best ask, right? So this is how the auction unfolds diagonally. So this is one auction, right? Best bid, best ask, best bid, best ask, best bid, best ask. So there's always this diagonal representation of it, right? That's why we have 0 here and 0 here, for example, right? So It's going like this, it's going like this. And then typically you have 0 here and 0 here. That's what also we call, when you have a 0 and a 0, we call this a finished auction. And we call this a finished auction. When we see a number here instead of the 0, or a number here instead of the 0, like here as well, we call it an unfinished auction. Okay, and we typically expect those levels to be taken out. But you know, whether they taken out or the statistical advantage of it, I'm not gonna give you any guarantee on that. But this is something that, you know, a lot of order flow traders are actually looking at. So these numbers are colored based on the imbalance between what was traded in the best bid and in the ask in that auction. So diagonally speaking. So you compare 78 with 3, well, that's a big imbalance. And we measure the imbalance typically in percentage. So you'll see a slightly light blue color when there's at least a 200% imbalance, and a very highlighted light blue color when there is at least a 400% imbalance. So this number being at least 4 times bigger than this number. Same here in purple, light purple, you're going to see if there's an imbalance of at least 200% between these two numbers. And in case the imbalance is more than 4 times, so more than 400%, you're going to see it very punchy and with a big highlight when it's 400%. And in some situations, you know, you're going to see both. You're going to see both a high color indicating the imbalance, a high color in the background indicating delta, and that's where you know there's something real going on, right? This is a clear example of absorption. And this instead, this yellow box that I can see here, is the point of control. So the point of the candle, POC, which is the point in the candle where the highest amount of volume was executed. Okay? And these are all really crucial data points, in my opinion, to formulate a hypothesis of what's going on in the market, on who's dominating in the markets. Because, for example, here, you know, there was a lot of aggressive buying happening, and there was a big seller in the book. Well, we tried that, didn't work, and then we poked out of it, and as soon as it got broken, then we have a long auction that lasts for quite some time. Right? So what the footprint is doing is showing us a picture, a very clear picture of the auction. And in the tutorial section of your user area inside of Deep Charts, you're going to be able to find everything that relates to every single thing about the footprint chart, but I'm going to go quickly through it. You can also able to have, for example, as I said, a volume, but not box, because this is the box version, but a profile version, for example. It's going to show you a profile instead of a single box of that level, right? This is one other type of visualization of this. If you want to set, for example, a different type of imbalance, you can go to plot settings, and in the text coloration settings, you're going to open them. And the color mode here is multiple color based on imbalance. I can go to range and set user defined range. And you're going to be able to see here that the first range is all black. So the basic color is black. Second range is not enabled. You have third range, fourth range. You can set even different ranges. Okay, I have the 200 and the 400% that I told you. So with the 200 is light blue, light purple, light pink. 400% is punchy blue, punchy pink. You could even get crazier with this. Okay, you can have a fifth range when there's a 600 or 1,000% imbalance, right? And put it in, I don't know, very different color, red, for example. And you're gonna apply and save. Put it back to ask bid. And now you're gonna see also those red when there's a huge imbalance, right? And this is the footprint chart, okay? This is the basics of the footprint chart. And I personally like this, for example, to put multiple footprint charts on top. For example, my 5-minute time frame template for the footprint. I'm going to show it to you now. Just give 1 second to load. So it's going to load the chart now and, you know, rebuild the chart based on a different version of the footprint chart. And there you have it. This is another type of visualization of the same chart, but on a 5-minute time frame, and with both the bid and the ask. Where you have both the bid and the ask and a volume profile. So I have the volume profile that tells me where the most money was traded in general, the footprint chart with a bid ask version that tells me who was more aggressive, and the volume profile chart itself is colored through delta. So I have all of the informations I need all in a single chart where I can basically put one chart on top of the other one, okay? And the cool thing about this is, for example, I might go and, you know, have in the indicators tab both order flow analyzers, and I might not want them one on top of each other. I might, for example, go to advanced and have it half of the size with a half of an offset, and have this on the side, and then go to the settings of the other one, go to advanced again, have it half of the size again, but without any offset. And I can simply split my profile, my footprint, sorry, into two and have them split instead. And this is how customizable it is. And with all these customization, you can literally get every type of visualization that you want. And I strongly advise you through time to find your way to personalize your charts, to you know, play with the settings a little bit, see the type of order flow imbalances that are important for you, the type of colors that you need, the type of information that you think you need and you want to get out of this DeepPrint indicator, because it's super customizable and it can, you know, get you to the point where you have all the information you need. And we're going to provide you with all of these templates, of course. But, you know, this is everything you need to know about the footprint chart and on how to use it and how we're going to read it and all of the details. We're going to go deep into the next few lessons. For this lesson, that's all, and I'll see you in the next one.